Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of DEFCON, the Aftermath. We're taking a look at 5 more defenders versus 5 more controllers with 5 more support sets to figure out who is better, who's best at defending, supporting their team, getting them across the finish line. We're looking at Cold Domination in our first matchup, and we're looking at Shimmer, my controller, who is Ice Control, Cold Domination, and Ice Mastery. And to start us off today, we're going to be looking at her mids build. So let's pull that up and get down to business. What is she all about? How is she going to destroy the enemy, support the team, control the battlefield, etc.? I presented a little bit of this in the matchup video that I presented the other day. And if you haven't seen that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go check out the playlist. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I'm going to dive deep today on some numbers with her, and then we're going to go ahead and look at some solo missions. I'm going to run her through a couple of tests and just see how this build holds up and discuss strategies and tactics. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. Now, this may or may not surprise some of you. Let's see. First things first, you'll see from Ice Control here that she does not have either of the PB AOE controls. I leaned into a ranged controller with this one. So everything I have is usable at range from her control set. And then I went ahead and took everything from Cold Domination, which is also a very good ranged buff debuff combo set. So I'm going to be standing back with her just because it lends to her strength. Just keeping everything at range, keeping it all slowed, minus recharged, controlled, locked down, and ultimately destroyed. That is her plan. You'll also notice I have almost all of Force of Will. Force of Will is probably one of my favorite pool power sets out there. I really like Mighty Leap as a travel because it also comes with the takeoff power, which has a little PB AoE knockback or knockdown with that. Project Will and Wall of Force are a couple of nice attacks, single target and cone attacks that have some knockback. And then Unleash Potential, it's kind of like a little mini God mode, boosting your regen, recovery, defense. And then last but not least, I've also got the almost all of Ice Mastery. And my initial presentation, I was talking about Ice Mastery. I usually don't take Hibernate, but I currently have it in this build, just given the amount of outgoing aggro that I'm going to be throwing, that it'd be nice to have potentially an oh crap power. Now, I could replace that with Ice Blast. We'll see. Kind of what some of these tests are going to help me determine. So if I find myself wishing I had some more single target, I could grab Ice Blast. But I kind of feel I've got enough with Chillblain and Block of Ice and Project Will. You got Infrigidate in there. So I got a lot of single target stuff I'm throwing anyway. Do I need another attack on top of that? Probably not. But it's something I could swap Hibernate for. So that's where I'm at right now. That's kind of the overall build. But let's go ahead and look at some of the specific details and numbers here. So let me scoot this back down a little bit. So for Infrigidate, you'll see that, let me actually scoot down a little bit more. Block of Ice is first. So Block of Ice, I've got a set of Thunder Strikes in here. And 4 slotting that, I like the 4 slot because you get the accuracy in there. I don't really need the 5th slot for the movement speed. And 6 slotting single target stuff just to get that little extra defense. To me, it's really not worth it. That's an overcommitment that I'm not really worried about defense build here. As this type of controller, she's not going to be worried about dodging attacks because there won't be any incoming attacks in the first place once she gets hold of you. So 4 slotting is good enough. You get recovery, you get some defense, and then you get your accuracy bonus. Because, controllers, they have to hit. And you don't have aim, you don't have build up, in any of the power sets. So you have to get it somehow, get some extra accuracy. So I like to use stuff like Thunderstrike, which is a cheap set to do that. And then the other thing you'll see, I have the lockdown chance for Mag to hold. This is going to make this one attack, block of ice, your single target hold, into pretty much like a Dominator style attack here. I'm going to be able to, let me turn off my Incarnate stuff so that we're not skewing any of the results here. But you can see that you've got your normal mag hold, I think is, let me shut off the lockdown for a second. Yeah, so you got typical mag for your holds is 3, and then what you're gonna do is as a controller, you've got the containment or the overpower version that's gonna give you a little bit more of a spike. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that. So you got the mag 3 standard, mag 1 if you get the overpower chance. And then with the lockdown proc in there, I'm going to be throwing another potential mag 2. So I'm going to be mag 3 bare minimum, 4, 5, 6. So somewhere in that range, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single shot holding not just bosses, but even an EB I could single shot hold if all of that stuff hits at the same time. Because I believe EBs have a mag 6 hold resistance. So that's just a pow, you're locked down. And then I've got, of course, damage for the block of ice attack itself. Then in Frigidate was the next power I wanted to mention, and this one is that single target debuff, minus speed, minus recharge, minus defense, and the minus damage. And I talked about this again in the setup for this whole uh, build video here with the matchup, that the minus damage really is irrelevant because it's only going to lower damage debuffing of fire damage, and there's not every single mob out there in the game has fire damage in the first place, and this is only single target, so really how useful is that? But what is useful is that minus 31.8% debuff of defense. What is useful is you got the slowing of the target's recharge, 87.5%. You've got the slow movement. You've got this max run speed. So you're gonna hit a single target pretty hard with this debuff. And then I've also got the damage procs here. I've got Ice Mistral in here. Get this out of the way. I've got Ice Mistral's Torment in there. You've got the Impeded Swiftness damage proc, and then the Shield Breaker damage proc. So there's 3 damage procs in that power. So that's going to give this thing a sizable chance to do some damage. And if I move my face out of the way, you can see it. So I can potentially get 193, 194 damage on a single target with that. Just debuff power. That's the cool thing with sets and that sort of stuff, is that you can turn sort of mundane or even just useful debuffs or buffs into really strong either attacks or support tools. Then we're going to go ahead and look at Chillblade. Similar strategy here, right? I've got another Thunderstrike set in there for the accuracy boosting, doing some damage, but I went ahead and threw the Devastation chance to hold in that one. So again, I have another way of getting some additional control. So it does do typically just immobilize. So normally your immobilize is pretty strong, mag 4 base, possibly mag 5. So you're mobilizing bosses. You've also got the tough debuffing of recharge and movement, and it also has minus fly, so it'll drop flyers. But if you throw in the chance to hold proc on top of that, you've got another mag to hold that you'll be potentially hitting targets with. And I'm going to be, when I'm zooming in on a single target, I'm going to be lather, rinse, repeating those attacks, those single targets, block of ice, and frigidate, chillblade. So you can see I'm going to get some steady damage out of these 3, and I'm going to get some really solid control with the, all these holds. I can potentially have a mag 10 hold hitting you within seconds, and you're having your recharge destroyed, you're having your movement speed destroyed, you're having your defense shredded. I mean, this is just a 1, 2, 3 combo that most single targets are not going to survive for long under that kind of fire. I still also have the Project Will, which similar slotting here. I've got Thunderstrike 3 times, and then I've got another chance to hold proc with this one, so I can hit you with those 4 attacks, Block of Ice potentially giving you that mag 6 controls. You've got Chillblade giving you 2 more mag. You got Project Will giving you 2 more mag. So what is that? Mag 10 holding within just 1, 2, 3. That's under 5 seconds. You're hitting those. And Frigidate, you're throwing it out there too. Okay, it's devastating combo of damage, debuff, and control right there. So she can whittle down a single target pretty effectively. That's why I didn't feel I needed Ice Blast on top of all that, unless I don't take Project Will, but then that might mess up my Force of Will, the ability to get these powers, because I think you need to have the two of the first couple in order to get Wall of Force and Unleash Potential. So anyway, that's what's going on there with those 4 attacks. Then really the rest of this gets into controls, AOE stuff, and then you're going to see the buffs from your Cold Domination. So if we move into Frostbite, here again, let me shut off the proc stuff, but I've got it slotted with Annihilation, and I've got that 5 slotted Endurance. You got some resistance to damage, some regen, and some endurance discount. I mentioned this in the matchup video that one concern I would have for Shimmer is just her amount of toggle kind of stuff going and just the spamming. But one thing I'm not taking is Arctic Air, so I don't have to worry about that endurance drain. So she's not going to be too bad. We'll look at her recovery and drain in a few minutes, but it's just something you want to be mindful of, endurance management. So Frostbite is pretty much tricked out with accuracy and damage. It's your AoE Immobilize. And then I've got the minus resistance chance for that debuff in there. And then I also threw in a gravitational anchor chance to hold. So if those procs fire, not only are you going to be doing the immobilize mag 3 plus a potential mag 1, so a bunch of people are going to be controlled by that. Immobilize, the recharge, the movement speed debuffs, etc. But then we hit them with the procs. You're going to have a 12.5% resistance debuff potentially procking. And then you got another mag 2 proc from your gravitational anchor, stacking with everything else. Now I've got potentially mag 12 holding that's going on. So one thing, with ice control that is a concern, even though it's a very powerful set, it doesn't have a ton of really just locked down controls. It's mostly slowing and minus recharge, that kind of thing. But by this strategy I'm deploying here, I'm gonna get the extra control, hard control, single target, or AoE that I need. So there's Frostbite for you, doing a good chunk of damage as well. It's, let's see, what, 18? I think it's ticking that every 3 times 6. So it's not a ton of damage, but you're hitting everybody for about 18 in the entire, spread. I don't have a bunch of damage procs in it. You could throw damage procs in here. I'm using it more as a debuff and control combo. So if you hit a big group with this, you got the resistance debuff, and you start hitting them with your other stuff, that'll start just shredding their, or they'll take a lot more damage because they're getting that extra 12.5% resistance debuff. So it's kind of like your setup for containment as well, which I don't even have on. If I turn containment on, then those damage numbers are going to go up because it's going to double your damage. Now I'm doing with 36 to everybody that I hit with that block of ice. That's dealing 125. Let me get my face out of the way again. Block of ice with containment 123. And Frigidate, I already told you, 193. Chillblade is doing 123. Frostbite 3678. We also had the Project Wills hitting for 144. So that's a lot of damage you're able to lay down on a group with the Frostbite, but mainly that single target, you're able to destroy them at this point. All right, then we'll take a look at Ice Shield. So for buffing, this is one of my first buffs. I took Ice Shield, of course. And with this one, I slotted it with a couple of karmas to get the knockback protection for myself. So that's going to be a nice, useful defensive tool, not just to shield my allies, but I'm not getting knocked over. So I kind of wanted to make sure that if I am going to take these sacrificial powers where it's not going to help me at all, it's going to help me because I'm sliding it with something like Karma, the knockback protection. So it's going to give me the Mag 4 knockback protection. The bonus on defense is not, huge, but it's, 13% defense for everybody on your team. And the defenses are to smash, lethal, which are your two big type attacks out there, and you got melee defense. Also giving you some cold and fire resistance, which is not a huge benefit. You don't really see much cold damage at all in the game in general, especially the late game. There's only a couple of mobs you can even think of that have cold damage. Fire damage is more prevalent, so you get a little bit here, but I'm not going to slot this shield for that sort of thing. I'd rather kind of juice up the defense side. All right, then cold snap. Check out what I've done with this thing. Let me go ahead and close up that pop-out window there. So cold snap, this is your cone fear. It used to be shiver, but now it has a fear component to it. So if we take a look at the stats on this thing, it's recharging in about 30 seconds. The duration is like 25 seconds, so it's pretty much almost perma fear, perma slow. And you're hitting them with a mag 3 fear. It has a 60-foot range on it, which is huge. So you gotta be careful with that. Big range. The arc is 135 degrees, so you're just like hitting everybody with this freaking cone. It's not even really a cone. It's more of like a wave that's just coming away from you, right? It's this huge, huge cone, 60 feet. You're gonna hit a whole bunch of people. Like once you hit this, you're guaranteed to aggro stuff. I mean, you're gonna accidentally overshoot, I'm sure, or hit somebody on the side that you didn't intend. So this is definitely not a sneaky power at all. You're just gonna lay into people. So boom, you cold snap. But the way I've got it slotted as like a damager. I've got the Ice Mistral's Torment, chance for cold. I've got the Impeded Swiftness, chance for smash. I've got Glimpse of the Abyss, chance for psionic damage in there. So if those things are all proccing, the damage that I'm going to get on this thing, go ahead and open this up again, is you're going to see a non-damage power suddenly becomes damaging, and I'm doing 100 damage to everybody. That this, if I triple proc on there, plus they're getting slowed, plus they're getting feared on top of everything else. The debuff for movement speed is 81%. I mean, that's just disgusting. Or is that the recharge? Whatever. They're screwed. That's all you need to know. Slow, debuff, fear. I think that's the yeah, that's the recharge time. So recharge debuff 81%. The movement speed 160% to fly. I mean, 350% run speed debuffing. They're not going to go anywhere once you hit them with this. You're going to have to survive your alpha. That's your only, concern is alpha survival. But bam, this power's beefy at this point. Glacial Shield, I did a similar job with this one like I did with Ice Shield. I've got a couple of Kismets in there. This has the plus 6% global accuracy unique, so I went ahead and again try to make my shield useful for me. So I'm going to have a little bit of defense for my teammates, 13% defense to, what is that, range, yeah, range, energy, negative AoE. So the ranged and AoE is useful. The energy is useful. The negative, very rare attack. And then you're going to get some more damage resistance to cold, which again is kind of irrelevant as far as the game is concerned. But you do get the 6%, boost to accuracy across the board. So I'm trying to get as much accuracy as I can because I need to hit targets. And this is another way to do it, and another way to make a otherwise useless power for you useful. Then we're going to go to Ice Slick. Ice Slick has been given damage now, so you're able to put stuff like procs in it. So for slotting, we've got a couple of bombardments, or sorry, a couple of annihilations in here. And this one has the resistance debuff. So not only is this going to be a knockdown slowing type of power, it also has that 12.5% chance to proc, or that chance to proc the 12.5% resistance debuff. It has knockback, knockdown in it, and it has, just like the other powers, you've got slows. So boom, debuffing, jumping, running, run speed, right? They're going to be taking damage on top of that. And I've also got the or a set of artillery in here. A lot of this is like recharge damage. So 3 slotting that, get some regen, get some more defense for my character. Max endurance out of the annihilation set. And so this power can do up to 68 damage it's talking about if they just or get stuck in that on that patch because it sits there and ticks for like 30 seconds, just constantly taking little pips of damage. And they're really not going to have any choice because they're going to take it because how else are they going to get away? They're going to be slow to the slow cap, whatever the hell that is. Be crawling trying to get off this thing. They're gonna be falling. Then you're hitting them with your other controls. Plus, I'm gonna be hitting them with Ice Storm while they're sitting on there. So once they're on that patch, they're pretty much doomed. Mighty Leap, already talked about this a little bit. It's your in your pool set there from your um, Force of Will. Great little power, gives you a nice fast jumping, and then you've got the takeoff that goes with it. Like I said, that's sort of this foot stompy power that knocks things down. Just threw in an endurance jump in there. I like to keep it on all the time as long as I can run it without running out of endurance. And I just keep stomping away on people as it, comes back up because I would be in melee at times. I can kind of go in there, stomp with it, knock them down, or I just use it for mobility. Frostwork, I've only got that single slotted. So you'll notice I'm really not heavily slotting any of my team buffs, right? I've only got a couple slots in Ice Shield. I got a couple slots in Glacial Shield. I've only got a single slot here of Doctored Wounds and Frostwork just to give a little bit of healing boost, uh, curb the endurance, and then a little speed with the recharge in that one. So the recharge is 47 seconds, but the duration's 120. So you'll be able to get that on a couple of targets before it expires. Flash freeze, I turn this thing into like a little, I don't want to say mini nuke, but it's such a little mini nuke. You've got bombardment, chance for fire damage. You've got Posse's blast, chance for energy. You've got annihilation, another chance for resistance debuff. I then threw in triple Ragnaroks here with a chance for knockdown to give me some more control options. Damage endurance, damage recharge, triple slotting that, recovery, and some resistance to fire cold, which is going to stack with my other stuff like Arctic Fog, which has team defense, team stealth, resistance to fire, cold, energy, and slow. I've got this thing slotted with some unique crap as well. I've got the Gladiator's armor in there, which has the +3, global defense. I've got a triple Aegis in here, which is giving me movement speed, some more defense. And then I threw in the Steadfast unique, the resistance, and that also has the global 3% defense on top of that. So this is going to give me a little bit more defense to go with the Arctic Fog. Plus I got Frozen Armor coming up over here, which is also defense, smash, lethal, some cold, fire resistance. I've got a triple set of Gift of the Ancients in there with the unique increased run speed. I need to be mobile. I need to be able to move around. I've also thrown in the reactive defense scaling damage resistance as my fourth slot here. So if things start to get ugly, I'll build up my damage resistance with that. All right, back over here is Snowstorm. We've got it double slotted with Ice Mistral. Again, I threw another proc. This may be my most useless proc because I think these toggles, they typically proc the damage when you initially put them on your anchor, but they're not like a steady source of damage. So, this is going to get me some extra damage, but not a ton. The 2 slotting gives me some extra hit points. So, I don't need to put this in here. I could change this out, for let's say a pacing of the turtle and grab the minus recharge proc, which would be overkill, but it's something, hey, I could do that, get some resistance. I could throw in maybe a couple tempered readinesses for recovery. So I have other options. I'm just going ahead with those. I mean, you could just throw a couple of endurance reductions in there, or one thing I also will do on occasion, if I want to maybe Frankenslot this thing, is use where's the triples? I don't think the Ice Mistral has it, but for instance, Pacing the Turtle has endurance, recharge, and slow. I could use one of those and one of those from Tempered Readiness and just get the extra endurance, have it recharge faster, have the slow. You could Frankenslot that way, but I figure of the options, extra hit points isn't going to hurt. Some extra damage isn't going to hurt. So I might as well go for it and just throw that on there and see what happens. Project Will, already talked about that. Wall of Force. This is my first, I guess, real AoE attack. Just a little cone from your Force of Will set. I've got the artillery in there. Regen, some more defense, some global damage is what you're getting out of that set. Benumb, you really can't do anything with this set-wise, so I just have an accuracy and an endurance in there. These would be +5, so they're up to 53%, base accuracy and endurance reduction. Because the end cost on this is pretty stiff. It's like 13, so if you don't slot it and you're chucking it left and right, it's going to be a problem. It recharge is kind of slow, so it's not like you're going to be hurling it at everybody. You could, obviously slot that for some recharge and get that back a little bit faster. If you're doing a lot of AV hunting, that might be a good idea to get some recharge in this power. Because, 120 seconds, that's every 2 minutes. So during an AV fight, that might be twice you hit them with that. The duration is 30 seconds. So if you could shave that down to 60 seconds, so maybe throw a couple of recharges in here or something, you could get a little more slotting, right? That's an option as well. If you want to really bang away on some AVs, I would do something like that. Then you got Unleash Potential. This is your kind of God mode power from your Force of Will, Regen, Recovery, plus Defense. This is a really good power. I really like this one. Really long recharge, so 600 seconds. So that's what, 10 minutes? I've got it down to under about 8 minutes or something like that. 7.5 minutes. Duration 60 seconds. But it has, 13% boost to defenses, and your regen's like 200% boost. Recovery 75% boosting. So it's a nice little spike of survivability that, and I don't think it has a crash either. Let's see, Unleash Potential will drain a portion of your endurance and prevent you from recovering endurance after its benefits. So it's not going to completely drain you like some, other powers out there will do. I'm trying to see if it actually has the number, and I don't see it anywhere. Anyway, it's got some good stats that'll help you in those big fights. So boom, click that thing, your numbers jump up, you're good to go. And then if things still go south, you still have hibernate, you can, boom, go into intangible mode there and heal up, regen, recovery, get yourself back in the fight pretty quickly. Jack Frost, I've got that slotted with just some blood mandates, recovery, some more defense, some more resistance. I'm trying to sprinkle in defense and resistance from wherever I can get it. Try to max out the fire resistance, cold resistance, max out as much of the defenses as I can. I'm not going for a pure defense build because, obviously if you do that, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of, uh, you know, general kind of build, which I typically do. I like to have 3, 4, 5 slots and powers, but if you want to go like pure defense, you have to 6 slot a bunch of things. And to me, that kind of requires a lot of sacrificing of stuff I don't like to sacrifice, so I typically don't do it that. Sleet, proc this sucker up as well. Got the triple artillery set in there, regen, it's more defenses. Then I threw in the bombardment, chance for fire, ice, Mistral's torment, chance for cold. So Sleet is going to be a monster debuffer. Its recharge is 37, 38 seconds. Duration's 15. So, it's going to be up for 15 seconds and down for like 20. So it's, something you can drop in a tougher fight. You're dropping this a couple times easily. And I'm going to be pairing that with Ice Storm, which we'll jump over to that real quick. Ice Storm, I've got Annihilation set in there. Another resistance debuff proc. 4 slot of that, and the recharge in that one's 76 seconds, so like twice as long as what Sleet is. So you can picture throwing down Ice Slick, dropping Sleet, dropping Ice Storm. If the fight's still going longer, you're hitting them with Sleet again at some point. If it's an AV fight, you're hitting them with Benumb a couple of times. You're hitting them with Infrigitate a whole bunch as part of your attack chain. It's gonna be massive abuse, and if you wanted to go that more PvAOE style, you could grab Arctic Air. You could put some damage procs in that because it takes cold and confusion procs, and just stand near the enemies and deal damage by proximity. Then we got Heat Loss is a great power and Cold Domination. We've got that 3 slotted with efficacy, adapter, hit points, recovery. Got a couple of preemptive optimizations in there, maximum endurance. Just kind of Frankenslotting this a little bit just to get it back more quickly. So the recharge in that's 180 seconds. So it's cut in half. Duration's 90. So, you got about a 2-to-1 here. So you're up for 90, down for 90, up for 90, down for 90. So that's going to keep your recovery going, give you endurance back. It also drains the endurance of enemies, as I recall. Yeah, a little bit of minus resistance it has for it. You got the slow effects. You've got recovery for yourself. You got endurance for yourself. You got endurance draining 63%. I mean, you could become sort of a sapper type of build. If I think Benum also has minus endurance as well, which, it does have minus endurance, but why you can't slot Benum for any sets doesn't make sense to me. Why can't I put an endurance drain set in there? I don't know. Anyway, hibernate. This is kind of my throwaway power. I don't need this. I think I'm gonna have enough mitigation and defenses that I don't need it, but it's sort of there. Your oh crap power. So I could ditch this. I could grab, like I said, the single target ice blast. I could take maneuvers, a couple slots of maneuvers. Get some more defense because I am got a bit of a defense build because I took ice mastery, which comes with frozen armor, defense, smash, lethal plus resistance, fire, cold. That's going to team up with Arctic fog over here. Then we got ice storm. I've got that 4 slotted annihilation. Already said that. Frost breath is my final power artillery set in here. 4 slotted this. I like artillery because it has the ranges boosting, and you want more range on Frost Breath because it has normally a pretty short range. It's 40 feet, but I've got it up to 50 something. So that's going to make it a little more easy to use with this ranged build that I'm putting together here. The arc is not great on it though. It's only a 30-degree arc, so that's pretty narrow overall. You saw that compared to Cold Snaps, whose arc is 135, and it's not even close. I wish when you grabbed range enhancements that they actually boosted the arc by whatever percent. That'd be pretty cool if they had that as an option. But alas, they don't. So there's sort of the core, the core build of all the powers that we're talking about. And if we scoot up, we can see what we've got for health and stamina. Health, we've got the Panacea. We got the Numina uniques to give me some more endurance, give me some more recovery. Stamina, we've got the performance shifter, plus endurance. Because endurance is, like I said, going to be a problem with this build. So I got to make sure I can get it coming back as quickly as I can. So with that, that's your core everything. So total is what we're looking at with just the basic stuff turned on right now, and none of my oh crap powers, just my Arctic fog running. My let me turn off heat loss because I'm not gonna have that. So with frozen armor and mighty leap and Arctic fog kind of being my basic toggles and sprint turned on, we're looking at recovery of 2-9 versus drain of 1-1. So that's, it's okay. It's close to 3-1, two something. So that's pretty good. I like it a little smidge higher, but that's where something like when heat loss, fires up, boom, I'm up to 4.7 recovery. So, heat loss is up, not a problem. But you do have a lot of other potential drain. Like if this build had Arctic fog, that would be an issue. I do have snowstorm. So when I have that running, which it will be running a bit, right? Now I'm up to 1.5. So that's where, if I don't have heat loss, I'm only at a 2-1, not even at this point. So if I'm sitting here toggled up like that, and if I had Arctic fog too, or sorry, Arctic air running, I would run out of endurance, right? It just would be a big drain. So heat loss and all the endurance recovery and endurance max endurance and endurance drain lowering that I did with my slotting, that was the big reason for it because this combo is going to have a lot of clicks, a lot of toggles, and once I start firing off these attacks, I'm going to be blowing through endurance pretty quickly. And that's kind of the other reason that you could take hibernate. It's not necessarily as no crap power, but oh no, I'm running out of endurance. Let me hibernate, and then boom, you see my recoveries jumping up to, huge. Let me turn off heat loss again. So we go from if I'm sitting there, oh man, I'm sucking wind. I need some more blue. I can enter hibernate state and bang, get my blue bar back pretty quick that way. That's another option for you if you want to run it like that. So those are your basic numbers there. And then, of course, you got your defense and your resistance. So overall defense is pretty solid, right? I mean, uh, type defenses are close to 30, 25, 30%. Your positionals are, not so great. 10%, 17, 12. I mean, that's not going to really save you. So you got some of your basic attacks here: smash, lethal, energy. Those are some of the most common attacks in the game. Fires, up there as well. But you got so, right? You're gonna get missed a few times, but not great. And if you do get hit, you don't have a huge resistance pool. You don't have a huge resistance pool to back you up. That's kind of the problem with this build. Yeah, you got a whole ton of cold resistance, but like I said, that's not a very popular attack anyway. You got pretty good fire resistance. I didn't slot really for damage resistance, but so I've got a little bit, but I wasn't going out of my way for either defense or damage resistance. If it was there as part of a 3 or 4 slot option, I would take it, because my main defense, my main resistance, my main mitigation is going to be all of these controls and all of these debuffs. That's how she's going to survive. If I can get those debuffs on you, get those controls on you, you're finished. You're not going to go and you're not going to be able to attack. It doesn't matter that my defense and resistances are not great. You're going to get one chance to do some damage, maybe two, and then it's game over, because I don't have any way to mitigate beyond that. So it's sort of a high risk, high reward. There's no healing here, right? There's no high defense, no big resistance numbers you got to punch through. I do have hibernate. I do have unleash potential is another one we can take a look at. So when I click this, you can see what happens with my defense numbers. That's the other reason I took it. So if I am going to go into a hard fight, I'll click this, and boom, it's making my defenses pretty respectable now. So now I'm going to be, okay, maybe I'm only getting hit 2 out of 3 times, or something like that, or 1 out of 2 times. I don't know. But it also helps your recovery. It helps your regen. And then again, heat loss. If I hit that, boom. Don't forget, I'm also debuffing some damage when I do something like heat loss. I think it is. Yeah, heat loss has. No, sorry, benumb has the minus damage. So if I hard target, I can hit with benumb. And then, man, hibernate. If I really need some extra blue or regen, I can click that. So I've got survivability buttons on this character to keep her out of trouble if needed. But of course, you still have your incarnates, and that is what's going to fill in these gaps here. So if we take a look at the incarnate choices I've made, let's scoot this up some more. You'll see how this whole package is going to round itself out. So for alpha, I went ahead and took agility. That's going to give me endurance mods. That's going to help with the recovery. It's going to help with the heat loss, help with the benumb numbers, recharge boosting, because I don't have any recharge boosting at all in this character. So that'll help get some of those powers back sooner. So this is not like a typical cookie cutter build that you'll see most people post on the forums. High defense, high recharge. That's kind of the two things almost every build I ever see goes with: recharge, defense, right? Like that's the whole game. So this is going to help me with some recharge. It's going to help me with defense as well and give me movement speed. So I think you could see all those are going to be very useful for this build. So when I hit it, all right, now my recovery numbers are even more respectable, 3.1. My defenses are jumping up a few points. So now I'm okay. Now I'm at 33%. When I then unleash potential, now I'm almost hitting 50% smash lethal. All right. Heat loss is going to bring my recovery up even more, 6.8. All right. Hibernate. Now I've got huge, huge numbers if I need to go oh crap mode. The defenses are also going to help with the shield numbers here. So if we look at what's it, ice shield, I think. Yeah, so it's not huge numbers, but it's what, another couple percent. So my defenses on my shields are going up a couple points. That's going to be useful for my allies. Arctic fog is going to be the same thing, right? So if my normal defense is 375, it takes up to 4.5. Not great, but it's something. That's where if I did swap out maneuvers, this could make it a few points even higher across the board. That might be a strategy. But I do want to have this in my back pocket in case I need it for that blue bar or for that, oh my god, I'm about to die. Let me hibernate. All right, so here's agility, helping everything across the board. I also went ahead and grabbed rebirth so that if, I do get into green bar problems and need some healing, and I have no other way to do it. Hibernate, of course, but bam, I just hit rebirth. I took the radial side for the regen numbers, so that's going to be a big old boost there. So take a look at the regen numbers, go up to 1,812%. Right now I'm at 212 base. Bam, it kicks it up to gross numbers 1812. So huge numbers there. All right, plus the heal you get out of that. Then we've got Cryonic as my judgment. This is just going to stack with my other speed and recharge abuse. Plus, it's got chances to hold, which is going to stack with my other controls, of course. This is the radial side of Cryonic Judgment. It's a big, wide cone. What's the angle on this one? Info range is 120-foot cone, 45-degree arc. So you're able to hit a lot of people with this freaking cone. And you've got a nice mag 4 hold chance on it. The debuff is 50% recharge and movement speed, so it's disgusting. On top of everything else I'm able to do, I can alpha with this thing, right? Or follow it, chase frostbite with it or something, right? So from range, I can reach out and freeze the crap out of everybody. Interface, I went with a minus to hit, minus regen. It's easy to go, oh, I'll go with even more debuffing of movement speed, but I'm like, dude, I got so much already. What else can I use debuff wise that'll help me survive? So, because I am kind of going with a defense light build here, I figure the one thing that'll be nice is, hey, how about some minus to hit? So if I get some diamagnetic hits on some fools, then that'll also help with survivability. As you can see, it's proccing a 5% to hit debuff. And I think that'll stack 4 times or so. So let's say easily I'm getting 4 stacks, so minus 20% to hit with my 25, 30, whatever percent defense across the board. That'll give me a lot more survivability with that. And I should be able to get a lot of procs because I think like Ice Slick should proc it with all the little ticks. You should get the procs from the ticks from your Ice Storm. Yeah, that's also going to proc it. Sleet should also have a chance to proc it. So, I mean, you're gonna get that the 4 stacks or whatever it is if it's a hit debuff. It's just going to happen. And it has a minus regen, which is going to be nice against tougher foes like, bosses, EBs, and AVs, which is going to team up nice with Benum, right? Because Benum has a big ol' minus 500% regen, and now you're sitting here tacking on some more regens at 10% per stack from your diamagnetic. And I think, again, it should be a 4 stacks. So you can get 40 there, right? You're going to constantly be regen debuffing. So she's designed to also be, a boss, an AV, an EB killer, at least, teaming up with her teammates. And then I went with control hybrid because, hey, why not put this freaking build over the top? Because that is sort of the one weakness is I don't have any huge AOE control. I didn't take Glacier with its hold, right? I have all this other stuff. So why not sit here and throw control core? Gives me another +1 mag on top of everything else. So everything's gonna be immobilized for sure. Block of Ice is now kicking kicking off even more magnitude hold. So I've got normally the 3 or the 1, and then you've got the 2 from your lockdown proc, and now there's 1 more from your hybrid. So add another, 1 mag hold on top of it. I think I'm at like 11 mag 11 holding or something like that at this point. The immobilizes are going to be almost the same numbers. So huge amounts of just control I can get out of everything else. And you can get a little extra side damage thrown in there to make all these little powers do even more damage and stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the... All right, so that's going to boost up your... What is it? Right now I'm looking at Ice Slick. Ice Slick right now is looking at... Shut that off. Is looking at about 68 total, but if this thing starts proccing the psionic damage, now you're up to 100. We look at something like Ice Storm that's with the control proccing, we're doing 210. Without it, it's 178. Right, and these are your powers that are hitting a whole bunch of targets. Sleet, same thing. Right, without it, you're looking at 152. With it, you're 184. So let's add an extra 30-ish, 32, something like that, damage just to these patchy rain type of powers, which is hitting 5, 10, 12 targets. I don't know, however many are standing in that group. And that is really going to be her little fun. That's what she's going to do. She's going to sit here and concentrate these patches and rains in one area and try to destroy or freeze. I don't want to say melt, but just totally paralyze a group. And before they can do anything, they're dead. And those three powers alone, the two rains, sleet, ice storm, and then the ice patch, the ice lake, all three of those can be dropped around a corner, completely safe. Nobody can touch you. At least that's the plan. And then while they're flopping on that, falling down, taking damage, being debuffed, I can then pop out and throw I don't know, flash freeze in there. You can throw your wall of force at them, cold snap them, drop Jack in the middle of them, throw your lore pets. I didn't even mention my lore pets. She's got what you call it, Banished Pantheon lore, so I can throw those dudes in there. All right, the big old icy dude. So those guys have debuff as well. They've got some buff. They're going to do a bunch of damage. It's not going to be pretty. That's what it's going to boil down to. It's going to be ugly, ugly, ugly once she gets hold of you. That's a big if, though. So if anybody has a slow immunity, and this is why my solo test is going to be interesting, because the Warwolves and the Council, they have like a slow immunity. So even though she has all this slowing, she's going to have to deal with these wolves the old-fashioned way. She's gonna have to like kill them. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the vid here and queue up my first solo test. So the idea is I'm gonna run a couple of council radio or paper missions. I'm gonna run 52 times 6 and then 53 times 7, and just see what happens. Go through the build a little bit and in action, talk about some strategies, go through some tactics and how she can leverage these powers. And then that'll set us up for the actual team missions. We're going to record the stats. All right, we'll be back in a minute, so hang tight. All right, quick correction before I get this mission started. I'm only running one mission, and I was checking from my previous DEFCONs. I'm only going to run one mission at level 50, just even level, but at times 8. I'm not going to do like a series of solos. I do that if I'm doing like a full build video, not for one of these DEFCONs, because all I want to show is character strategy tactics with their power sets, not get into a full test. That's what the whole team stuff is about. So anyway, that's Shimmer, and she is currently level 50 plus 3, well 51 here in Redside Granville, running some council. I'm set to plus 0 times 8. I got bosses on, and we're going to get to what the build can do against these fools, large numbers of them. This is not going to be life or death struggle here. Let me go ahead and summon Jack. Okay, barely visible. I really wish they would do a little bit more with these ice graphics. They're really muted with the colors. I mean, I have him muted so he's not super bright, but all the super shiny glowiness has got to go, unless that's what you want. Anyway, juice him up. Take a look at what we got here. We got several guys kind of spread out. There's probably a couple more around the corner here. The problem we're going to have here with Council and this particular build style, which is all slowing your minus recharge with a bunch of mobilizations, these wolves are, for what I understand or what I know from experience, they're immune to slows, and I think immobilized as well. So if I were to try to throw some slows out here at range, these guys can run right past it and attack me back here. So that won't work. what I can do instead is throw Snowstorm, let's say, on the champion. He'll aggro and come to me. The others will also be aggroed and start following. They'll be delayed a little bit, but then I'll just wait here around the corner and just attack when they come around the corner. I'm going to put Jack in passive mode, which this is new for issue 28 here. Controllers have that fine control of their tier 9 pets. Not that controllers need more perks, but there you go. Alright, so let's do this. I'm gonna just give him Frostworks again. Get this stuff done. Activate my control hybrid. And throw this on him and run. So notice it animated after I had moved. Okay, everybody else is coming now. There they come. And with your judgment, cryonic. Guess I can put Jack on aggressive now. So this is what I was talking about with the build, is that I can get these guys in a tight spot. They're done. Because you've just got too much debuff for them. And there it is. So I'm going to drop Pain right here. I think I want to put my hold as position 1. More likely I'll hit it right away. Get my endurance back with heat loss. She's a bit of a slow killer. That's why I did put as many damage procs in as I did. Let's bring out my other pets here. Banish Pantheon. That little bone spawn, or bane spawn, whatever it is pretty fragile. Let's go into defensive mode here. Let's see, I can either pull or I can just charge in there. Again, they're kind of spread out, so I don't really want to charge. Let's put them in passive so they don't aggro. We'll do this again. Go around the corner. Get them to start coming. And then drop crap. Just sit back here, do this. Alright, guys. Defend me. Done. Knockback is stupid. That's how quick he can be dead. Remember to reapply shields every couple minutes. I think they have a 4-minute duration. Okay, I'm going to pull this group. Stupid wolf. Should have shut off that. Ah. Forgot about the wolf. See how he just sprinted after me. Got through the snowstorm like no big deal. And I didn't want my pets to aggro on everybody. By then it was too late. Let's head this way. So you do have the snowstorm pole. You've got the around the corner patch drops. Just I had some bad positions so far. Let me try this again. That there. Put that there. Just let that soften people up. It's the wolf I gotta watch. Here he comes. Hit him. Oh, bugger. Oh, my unleash potential. Gotta get around the corner here to bring these guys down, maybe? One problem is having to relearn your pet's AI with this control over here. Because defense, they don't do anything unless you're attacked. And then once you have them controlled, the problem is they no longer hold aggro. They'll stop attacking. So if you still have them in defensive mode, it doesn't do you any good. But if you go with aggressive, then they're just going to go off at any little thing. All right, Jack, get aggressive, buddy. Finish him off, Jack. Finish him off. So I'm definitely getting the hold procs firing. Hold on there, Jack. Hold on. This is when you want Arctic air right here. It's close quarters crap. Okay. Oh. Silly me. More galaxies. Gotta rearrange my tray a little bit here. I want to frigidate down here with my other single target stuff. I think I'll put it here. Rearrange stuff a little bit. Cold snap's more of a control. So I'll put it up here or something. We'll see. Something like that. Alright, this is a good location. I don't see any wolves. This will be perfect. So, we're going to do this. Let me turn. Shall leave him on aggressive because I want him to just get in there eventually. So, drop this crap here and start shredding these guys at range. Oh, there's a wolf. I think that was... He's done. Dude, holy shit. What the frick just happened to me? Did he hold me? It's like all of a sudden I was just... Yeah, I got fucking held. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's how quick, though, she can go down. Minimal anything as far as defense goes. And I was trying to click some heal, but I was held. Sneaky bastards. Huh. Where's my tank? Wait, Jack, I need your ass next to me, not whatever. Maybe if we were in defense, would have been fine. I don't know. Alright, well, there you go. Which one of these guys got me? Is it this boss right here? Yeah. So I thought I had that planned out beautifully. Let me drop these more shallow. Here. Here. There. Just want to kind of pepper these guys with some damage before they... Hit them. Damn. Thought I had the teleport protection. Alright, done. Yeah, those guys are hitting like a truck. Not there. Thought I had teleport protection. Yeah, here, like Gladiator's armor. Okay. Now 20% chance. That sucks. Alright, another big group of dudes. I could probably just drop on these guys. This could turn ugly, so I'm gonna grab my other pets. I'm just gonna try to give these guys the sneaky Pete. Buff the pets. Let's drop this shit here. Drop it all. Pop them up. Damn, dude. It's like I'm just getting wrecked every time I get hit once. Guess I got enough yellow. Right, split group. Another group's over here. So what I'll do is come over here, hide. Try to pull just this group. Pop up Snowstorm. And wait till they come over here. Look at them crawl. Slow crawl. Here they go. Frostbite them in place. Pets are going off now. Blast him. Oh, nice. Nice miss. These guys are really spread out. Well, so far, at least in the groups I've fought, it seems less transformations or reses by the galaxies, which I'm all for. Here's another huge group. The shields back on these guys. Let's go aggressive here. All right, soften them up. Sleet. Ice storm. So hopefully by the time these guys are dead, the rest of these guys will pretty much be obliterated back here. Frickin' res. 2 reses. Just as I said, they haven't been resing as much. You got 2 of them. Alright, let's see if this is it. Well, there you go. So, bit of a glass jaw on this one. That's where I think my defender might be able to win this one. I mean, she definitely has a lot of tools, this controller, but she's one hit away from disaster, which I don't think my Birdman Shimr Falcon is that squishy. That's also the issue when you're playing these buff shielding sets, is you've got a lot of toys to help your team keep them alive, but what do you have for yourself? So it's kind of sketchy with her. So I wouldn't really want to be soloing with her against +4s. She's just not that type of dominating controller. I think she can definitely also enemy group. So if I was fighting it against enemies like I mean, Malta wouldn't have been as hard, I don't think, because, well, maybe the teleporters would have been an issue, gunslingers, but if you got somebody who is immune to the slows like those wolves, they can just get right past 90% of your initial control. I think they're also resistant or immune to immobilizes, so that takes away a bunch of your tools. And once you can't do that and they get on top of you, she is not good in a close quarter fight, is all, as you can see there. All right, well, there you go. That is Shimmer's solo tactics and strategies. Gives you something to look out for when she does the team stuff, which will be next. I'll run 5 missions with some teammates and see what happens. Record some stats, crunch some numbers, and report back when I'm done. All right, everybody, have a good one. Take it easy.